Generational wealth stopped being a fairy tale the day I met XRP like a secret doorway in a crowded hallway. For years, wealth lived in my mind as a hazy picture. Marble floors, black cards, vacations that lasted longer than my rent cycle. It was cinematic but distant, like something reserved for last names on buildings and faces on magazine covers, never for someone like me, scrolling through my phone between shifts and overdue bills. I thought legacy was for the already rich. My ambition was heavy, but my options felt painfully light. Then I stumbled into a conversation that changed the temperature of my future, not about getting rich, but about how money moves. Not about lottery tickets and meme coins, but rails, infrastructure, and systems. That's how XRP first arrived. Not as a hype token dancing on a chart, but as a question. What if the future of value moves differently, faster, cheaper, and you own a piece of that highway? It didn't hit me as fireworks, it hit me as discomfort. I realized most of what I called research was really confirmation bias. I looked for screenshots, not white papers, trends, not technology. So the night I decided to take XRP seriously, I made myself a quiet promise. I wouldn't marry hype, I'd marry homework. No more chasing whatever the timeline screamed about. If I was going to tie my family's future to something, it wouldn't be a rumor, it would be a thesis. I started small, with questions that stabbed straight through my greed. What does this actually do? Who is using it? What problem does it solve that the world is already paying for? I read terms I'd never cared about: liquidity, cross-border settlements, enterprise adoption, and felt my brain stretch in ways my bank account hadn't yet. Each answer didn't make me more excited, it made me more sober. This wasn't a magic bean, it was architecture. The more I learned, the less I wanted fireworks, and the more I wanted foundations. I stopped thinking in moon and started thinking in decades. I zoomed out from my life and asked a harder question. If I do this right, will my grandchildren feel it? Generational wealth suddenly wasn't about me flexing. It was about them not flinching every time life hit. Wealth became less about pictures and more about protection. Buffers, options, choices. That's when I began treating every dollar like a vote for my future self. I created rules that felt almost spiritual. I wouldn't invest when I was emotional, greedy, or desperate. I wouldn't risk what I couldn't afford to see bleed red for years. I shifted my mindset from how fast can I multiply this to how solid can I make this. XRP became part of a larger design, not the whole house, pillars, not paint. With that shift, something surprising happened. I became less obsessed with price and more obsessed with patience. I realized charts could be loud, but conviction is quiet. My greatest risk wasn't the volatility, it was my own inability to stay consistent. So I turned volatility into a teacher. It reminded me to diversify, to keep learning, to never confuse a dip with a verdict. As my understanding matured, my relationship with time changed. I started building with an audience I'd never meet in person, descendants with my eyes and my tendencies, born into a world where my last name didn't equal limitation. I imagined them choosing careers based on passion instead of panic, walking into banks with leverage instead of begging, treating opportunity like a birthright instead of a miracle. That image became heavier than any short-term profit bar on a screen. I wasn't just buying tokens, I was buying possibilities. Of course, the journey broke my illusions. I watched people scream "get rich" and leave the market poorer in patience, discipline, and respect for risk. I saw how easy it was to worship the idea of wealth and sacrifice the character needed to hold it. That scared me more than any crash. I realized generational wealth is less about the assets you pass down and more about the mindset you model. So I built a different kind of inheritance. Alongside every XRP purchase, I started investing in my own literacy, financial, emotional, psychological. I wanted the story behind the numbers to be clear. I didn't stumble into this, I studied. I didn't gamble for them, I architected for them. Generational wealth, for me, stopped being, "they'll find out I left money," and became, "they'll understand I left a blueprint." Somewhere along the way, my relationship with identity shifted. I had always seen myself as someone trying to escape scarcity. Now I saw myself as someone planting abundance. I no longer felt like a victim of the economy. I felt like a participant in its evolution. XRP, in my story, wasn't just a digital asset. It was a symbol of a new kind of courage, the willingness to prepare for a future I couldn't fully predict, but refused to fear. And with that courage came humility. I accepted that nothing is guaranteed, that markets move, regulations evolve, narratives flip. But instead of paralyzing me, that uncertainty sharpened my discipline. I learned to review, adjust, protect, and diversify without abandoning my long-term belief. I stopped needing my conviction to be right immediately and started wanting it to be resilient eventually. generational wealth became less about "I will be rich" and more about "they will be safer." Today, when I look at XRP in my portfolio, I don't see a shortcut. I see a symbol of the moment I stopped thinking in paychecks and started thinking in bloodline. I see the evening I closed 10 tabs of quick flips and opened one page that asked, "What will still matter in 20 years?" I see the version of me who traded impulsive bets for intentional architecture. Generational wealth is XRP, yes, but not because it's magic. It's XRP because I chose to treat it as a doorway into deeper learning, longer timelines, and bigger responsibility. It's XRP because it forced me to grow from a consumer of hype into a curator of legacy. The real asset isn't just what's on the ledger, it's who I became building around it. I didn't just become an investor, I became an architect of my last name, someone who thinks in generations, moves with strategy, and understands that the greatest profit isn't the number on a screen. It's the future I'm quietly designing for people who will never know how hard I worked to make their starting line feel like a blessing, not a battlefield. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the Digital Mentor 797 via YouTube.